Welcome, dear friends, to a journey of hope and encouragement in the midst of life's storms. In this video, we embark on a heartfelt exploration of a timeless truth, that amidst the chaos and uncertainty of this world, God cares deeply for each and every one of us. Join us as we delve into the depths of this comforting reality, weaving together stories of faith, moments of divine intervention, and signs of God's care that illuminate our path even in the darkest of nights. Through captivating narratives and soul-stirring reflections, we'll discover how God's love transcends time and circumstance, offering solace to the weary soul and strength to the faltering heart. So come with us on this journey of discovery and rediscovery, a journey that reminds us of the profound truth that we are never alone, for God cares for us more than we could ever imagine. As the sun sets behind the horizon, casting a warm glow over the landscape, it's easy to feel the weight of the world on our shoulders. But in those moments of doubt and fear, remember this: you are not alone. There is a guiding light that never fades, a presence that walks beside you through every trial and triumph. Let me take you back to a time when everything seemed to crumble around me. I had lost my job, my health was failing, and the future looked bleak. In the depths of despair, I cried out to God, asking why He had forsaken me. But as I sat in the silence of the night, something miraculous happened. A sense of peace washed over me, and I knew deep in my heart that I had not forgotten. You see, God cares about each and every one of us more than we can ever imagine. He knows the number of hairs on our heads, and He holds every tear we shed in His loving hands. I learned this firsthand when I stumbled upon an old journal from my teenage years. Amidst the pages filled with adolescent angst, I found prayers scribbled in the margins, desperate pleas for guidance and understanding. As I read those words, I realized that every prayer had been answered, not always in the way I expected, but in a way that was far better than I could have imagined. There's a story I once heard about a man who found himself stranded in the middle of a desert. With no food or water, he began to lose hope, but just when he was on the brink of despair, he spotted a small oasis in the distance. As he stumbled towards it, he felt a sense of relief wash over him, and in that moment, he knew that God had been watching over him all along, leading him to safety in the midst of adversity. Today, as I stand before you, I can testify to the unwavering faithfulness of God. He has carried me through the darkest of valleys and lifted me to the highest of peaks, and though the journey may be long and arduous, I take comfort in knowing that He walks beside me every step of the way. So, to anyone out there who may be struggling, I urge you to take heart. You are not alone in your pain, your fears, or your doubts. God sees you, He hears you, and He cares for you more deeply than you can ever imagine. Trust in His unfailing love, and you will find the strength to overcome every obstacle that stands in your way. As the stars twinkle overhead, casting their gentle glow upon the world below, let us lift our voices in praise and gratitude. For in the arms of God, we find solace, we find hope, and we find the courage to face whatever tomorrow may bring. So let us rest in His embrace, knowing that we are cherished, we are beloved, and we are never alone. But what about those moments when doubt creeps in? When it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and you wonder if God truly cares? Trust me, I've been there too. It's in those moments of darkness that we must hold on to the light of faith. Consider the story of David, a shepherd boy who faced the giant Goliath with nothing but a sling and a stone. In the eyes of the world, he was an unlikely hero, but in God's eyes, he was a mighty warrior. David knew that his strength came not from his own abilities, but from the God who stood beside him. I know it's not always easy to trust in God's plan, especially when life takes unexpected turns. But remember, His ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. He sees the bigger picture even when we can only see a tiny piece of the puzzle. So, instead of worrying about tomorrow, focus on today. Take each moment as it comes, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. And when fear threatens to overwhelm you, turn to Him in prayer, for He is always ready to listen and to comfort. In the end, my friends, the message is clear. Do not worry, for God cares about you deeply. He knows your every need, your every fear, your every desire. So trust in His love, have faith in His promises, and you'll find peace that surpasses all understanding. As we journey through life's ups and downs, let us hold fast to the truth that we are never alone. God is with us, guiding us, protecting us, and loving us more than we can ever imagine. So take heart, my dear friends, and remember, you are precious in His sight, and He will never let you go. One passage that brings comfort to many is Psalm 23, which reminds us that God is our shepherd, guiding us through the valleys and leading us beside still waters. Just as a shepherd cares for his flock, so too does God care for each and every one of us. Think back to a time when you felt utterly alone, as if no one understood the depths of your pain. In those moments of despair, it can be hard to see beyond the darkness. But remember this, God sees you, He hears you, and He is working behind the scenes to bring beauty from ashes. Your current circumstances may seem bleak, but God has a purpose and a plan for your life. He can take your pain and turn it into a testimony, your trials into triumphs. So hold on to hope, my friend. Foregone to hope, my friend, for God is still writing your story. In times of trouble, it's natural to question why bad things happen to good people. But instead of focusing on the why, let's shift our focus to the who. Who is God? He is love. He is compassion. He is the one who holds the universe in His hands and yet cares deeply for each and every one of us. The birds of the air and the flowers of the field, which Jesus spoke of in the Sermon on the Mount. They neither toil nor spin, yet God provides for their every need. If He cares for the birds and the flowers, how much more does He care for you, His beloved child? Let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, and instead surrender to God's perfect will. Trust that He knows what's best for you, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. For in His hands you will find peace that transcends understanding. As we navigate the storms of life, it's important to surround ourselves with a community of faith. Find comfort in the fellowship of believers who can lift you up when you're feeling down and remind you of God's promises when you're struggling to believe. Consider the story of Job, who endured unimaginable suffering yet remained steadfast in his faith. In his darkest moments, his friends were there to offer support and encouragement, reminding him that God had not abandoned him. And in the end, Job emerged from the storm stronger and more resilient than ever before. Likewise, don't be afraid to lean on others when you're feeling weary. God often speaks to us through the words and actions of those around us, using them to remind us of His unfailing love and faithfulness. In the midst of life's trials, it can be easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. But remember, God is not limited by time or space. He sees the end from the beginning and knows exactly what you need, even before you ask. So trust in His timing, even when it doesn't align with your own. In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the pressures of daily life. But instead of succumbing to fear and anxiety, let's choose to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Consider the story of Peter, who walked on water toward Jesus amidst a raging storm. As long as he kept his gaze fixed on Jesus, he was able to defy the laws of nature and accomplish the impossible. But the moment he allowed fear to take hold, he began to sink. Likewise, when we keep our focus on God, we can rise above the storms of life and experience His peace that surpasses all understanding. So, in moments of doubt and despair, let's turn our eyes upon Jesus and trust in His unfailing love. In the quiet moments of prayer, we have the opportunity to pour out our hearts to God and lay our burdens at His feet. He invites us to come to Him with our worries and cares, knowing that He is always ready to listen and to comfort. Consider the words of Jesus in Matthew 11:28-30, where He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So let's take Jesus at His word and cast our anxieties upon Him, knowing that He cares for us deeply. In His presence, we will find true rest and restoration for our weary souls. In moments of darkness, it can be hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But remember, even in the midst of the storm, God is at work, bringing beauty from ashes and turning mourning into dancing. When we find ourselves in the valley of despair, let's cry out to God and listen for His voice in the midst of the chaos. He may not always speak in thunderous displays of power, but often in the quiet whispers of His Spirit. In the midst of life's trials, it's important to hold on to the promises of God's Word, for they are a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path, guiding us through the darkest of nights and leading us into the glorious light of His presence. In the book of Isaiah 41:10, God says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So, let's cling to these promises with unwavering faith, knowing that God is faithful to fulfill every word He has spoken. In His presence, we will find strength, courage, and hope for the journey ahead. In moments of uncertainty, it's natural to seek out answers and solutions to our problems. But instead of relying solely on our own understanding, let's seek God's wisdom and guidance in all that we do. Consider the story of Solomon, who was faced with the daunting task of ruling over the kingdom of Israel. Instead of asking for wealth or power, he humbly prayed for wisdom, knowing that he could not succeed without God's help. Likewise, when we face difficult decisions or uncertain futures, let's follow Solomon's example and seek God's wisdom above all else. For in His wisdom, we will find clarity, direction, and peace beyond. It's natural to search for signs of God's care and presence when facing challenges. While these signs may not always be obvious, they are often found in the seemingly ordinary moments of everyday life. There are the moments of divine intervention, the times when God's hand is unmistakably at work in our lives. It could be a timely provision of finances when we least expect it, or a miraculous healing that defies medical explanation. These moments serve as powerful reminders that God is actively involved in the affairs of His child. As we come to the end of our journey together, may the echoes of truth and hope linger in your heart long after the screen fades to black. Remember, dear viewers, that in every trial and triumph, God's care remains steadfast and unwavering. Let these stories we've shared serve as beacons of light in the midst of life's storms, guiding you back to the embrace of the one who holds the universe in His hands and yet knows the number of hairs on your head. May you find comfort in the knowledge that you are deeply loved, cherished and cared for by the Creator of the cosmos. And may His peace, which surpasses all understanding, guard your hearts and minds now and always. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until we meet again, may God's grace and mercy go with you, guiding you on the path of faith, hope, and love. Amen.